Congratulations! You have taken your first step of becoming a professional web designer or developer. HTML is easy to learn, but the ability to write HTML code is very essential to every web developer. What is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it uses tags to identify content. An example of a HTML tag is the title tag, and almost all HTML tags have the opening tag and the closing tags. So you can see in front of hello world there is title, that is the opening tag, and then at the end of hello world there is another title, and that is the closing tag. Understanding HTML page structure. So the tags that you are seeing on the screen are the tags that you will need to have in almost every page or every HTML page. And at the beginning we have opening tag for HTML, at the end we have the closing tag for HTML, and then we have the head tag. Inside the head tags we have the title tag, and then in the body tag is where we can store or we can add our content, and in the body tag we have the page tag. That P means that it is a page tag. Okay, let's understand web structure. So every web application, or most of the web applications, have the front end and the back end. The front end is what you see, it's what the client sees, and the back end is what fetches the data from the server to the client side, so that you can see that data on the front end. And in the front end we have the HTML. This is used to create the structure of the page. So we can't have a web page if we don't have HTML. So this is what creates the structure. It is like the skeleton of the body. And then we have CSS. Now CSS is what styles the page, like it makes it looks nice. And then JavaScript adds the behavior. And then at the back end we have a programming language or a scripting language such as JavaScript, Python, PHP, and there are others. So these languages interact with the server so that to fetch data and manipulate data on the server. So let's look at a real world web application that you probably visited to view this video, and I'm talking about YouTube. So YouTube is a web application, and this web application have used HTML, it have used CSS, it have used JavaScript, and of course it have used a programming language so that to fetch the data. Now the data here is like the videos and the users. Let's try to understand HTML using this page structure. So at the top left corner we have Chaoo codes YouTube. So this is the title of the page. So in order to include this title, they use the title tag. And then every page or a web application on the internet has a unique domain name, and you can see for YouTube it is youtube.com. So that's the unique domain name for YouTube, and later we can see how we can host our website and purchase a unique domain name. And we have our menu here, and when I click on the menu you can see it is snaps out and in. So to add this behavior, most probably JavaScript was used so that to add this kind of a behavior. And then CSS is used to style, and most probably these buttons over here have been styled using CSS, like to add this background color. I can inspect, let me inspect the element, I can inspect the code that have been used to create this page. So yeah, you can see here on the side this is the source code that have been used, and we can try to identify some tags that we have learned already. So you can see that there is HTML at the top here, and this HTML, it is the opening tag. At the bottom of this chunk of code there is also HTML. Let me scroll. I won't get tired of this. So you can see there is a closing tag for HTML, and there is also a closing tag for the body, so meaning that there is also an opening tag for this body. So let's also try to locate our head tag. You can see after HTML tag there is the head tag. So we can try to locate our title tag inside the head tags. So I'll expand that one, and then here is the title tag, and we can try to edit this one. So I'll say edit as HTML. Let's say I will delete the word, the name Chaoo codes. We remain with YouTube, and then I click outside here, and you can see it have updated itself to YouTube. So we have seen that a web page is created using the tags in HTML, and HTML interacts with JavaScript and CSS to add more functionality and styling to a web page. So I think that's enough for today's lecture, and that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Let's keep things rolling, and I will see you in our next lecture. Hello coders. HTML is used to create a web page structure, and to write HTML code we need a text editor. The readily available text editor for Windows is Notepad. So I'm going to search Notepad and open it. Every HTML page starts with a HTML opening tag and ends with a HTML closing tag. Inside these two tags I'm going to type something random, like my blog. I'll save this file. I'll save it on the desktop, web, and then to save a HTML file you have to include the .html extension. So I'll save as blog.html. Now I'll open that file, and it will open on a browser, and when I zoom this you can see that there is my blog. So there are other text editors that can write HTML, like Visual Studio Code, Atom, and Sublime. I'll leave links at the bottom of this video so that you can download one of them. In this video I'm going to use Visual Studio Code, so I'll close the notepad and open Visual Studio Code. I'll then open the folder that have our file, so desktop, web. I open this folder, and then I open the blog.html, and you can see the code that we have here is what we had in Notepad. So we are going to look at the most common HTML tags. So after HTML I'm going to add a head tag, and then inside the head tag I will add title tag. Inside the title tag we can say something like Chaoo blog. So after the head tag we can have a body tag, and then after the body tag, or inside the body tag, we can include a heading tag. So heading ranges from H1 to H6. So when I press it you can see all this suggestion from H1 to H6. In this case, I will use H3, and then inside the H3 I can say something like welcome, and then I will remove this blog. After the heading tag, let's include a paragraph, and it is identified by p tag. Inside the paragraph we can type something like, are you enjoying this? And then I can say something like, please subscribe. So I will save this file. Let's go back to the browser and refresh. So you can see that this is the h3 tag and this is our p tag, and Chaoo blog is the title. So you can see that the p tag appeared as a straight line, although we separated them on two different lines. Now to break this line, we use the br tag in HTML. So I'm going to use br tag, and it is a single tag. So this will break the line, and then I can include a hr tag which will add a horizontal line in between these two lines. So when I save this one, go back to the browser and refresh, you can see that there is a horizontal line and they are now on two different lines. Another thing that I am going to show you is how to add an image uh, in this page or in HTML. So just below the h3 tag, I will use the img tag, meaning image, src, meaning the source, and then here we include the path of the image. In this case is avatar.png, because I saved this image on the same folder as the file, as the HTML file, and the image is .png. There are other formats like .jpg or JPEG, and then I can include some other attributes like the height, so that we give some good sizing like 90px, and then another attribute is the width. We can say like 90px. So I will close this tag. It is a self-closing tag. When I save that and go back to the web page, I will refresh and you can see this nice image over there. So another thing is I'm going to show you how you can add a link in HTML. So just below the image tag, I'm going to add an a tag, meaning anchor tag, and then we have the attribute href. In href we include the link to the page that you want to open. In this case I want to open my YouTube channel page, so I'll type the link here, http bit.ly, and then Chaoo codes YouTube, and then this is the opening tag, and then we have a closing tag. Inside the opening and the closing tag, I will include what I want to appear on the screen. So I can say something like my channel, something like that. I'll save this file and go back to the browser, and you can see that we have my channel. Now I want, when I click this link, I want it to open on another tab. Now to do that, I have to add another attribute. So I'll say target blank. So this will make the link to open on another tab instead of the path that we are in. So I will refresh this one and then I'll place that link, and you can see that it have opened on another tab and it have lead us to the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. So that's how we add a link in HTML. And another thing is that I'm going to show you how to add a list of items in HTML. So below the a tag, I'm going to add OL, meaning ordered list, and then inside the OL I'm going to add LI, meaning list this is a single item. I'm going to copy the li and paste it 3 times, and I can say something like React, then Angular view. So we have the list item. When I save this one, go back to the browser and refresh, you can see that our items have been listed with numbers because it is an ordered list. Now to make an unordered list, we are going to change this from OL to UL, meaning an ordered list, but the LI remains the same. So this will remove the numbers. Boom, perfect. So I think this was a good introduction, and there are other tags for creating tables, forms, adding audio, adding video. I will leave some link to some resources that you can use to learn more about HTML. For now, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you on my next video. In this section, we are going to look at the video and the audio tag. So I added an audio and a video on our folder, the same folder where we have our HTML file. So I am going to use the audio tag here, and then controls, I'll close this one. Inside these two audio tags, we can add another tag, which is the source tag, and then the source tag usually have the src attribute, which enable us to add the path to our audio, and the path here is the source apples.mp3. And then another attribute with the source path is the type, and the type in this case will be audio stroke mpeg, and then I can include the closing tag, and then the source tag is just a single tag. We can also try to add our video, so I will copy these tags because the video tag is very similar to the audio tag, and I will type here. I'll try to type multiple times, and I will use the Control D to select all this one. I'll delete and type video that way, and then the type will be video stroke mp4, and then the source will be different, which is GIF, that way. So I will save this one and try it on the browser. I'll head over back to our files and open the HTML file, and boom, you can see that an audio have been added and a video have been added. Now this video is too big. We can try to resize it using the height and width attributes. So I'll add a height here, which is let's say 300 px, and then the width I can say 250 px. That way I'll save this one, head back to the browser and refresh. So you can see that it have resized. Now I can try to play this. This works. I can also try to play my video. Now we even have some music. This section won't be boring after all. So we can try to loop over this. You can see that the video have stopped playing. I will add these attributes. Just after control I will add loop, and then after control I'll add loop. This allows the video and the audio to play continuously without stopping. So I will refresh again, and then I will play the video, and then I can play the audio. You can see that the video is playing continuously. You can see, and I can try it with the audio also. Let's see. Wait for it. Boom, it have just restarted itself. So are you enjoying this? Please subscribe. In this section, we are going to look at HTML tables. Tables are defined by the table tag, and they are divided into table rows and columns. Columns are also known as table data, and the table data is defined by the TD tag, and table rows are defined by the TR tag. So let's take a look at how we can use these tags to create a table. So I am going to do some cleanup on this code. So let's create a table with 2 rows and 2 columns. Therefore, we are going to use the table tag, and then inside the table tag we are going to include a row using the tr tag. So this is one row, but we want 2 rows and 2 columns. So just below the tr tag, I'm going to add another row using the another tr tag, and then inside each tr tag I'm going to include 2 td tag, meaning table data or columns. So I am adding a td tag here and another td tag. So the td tag can hold other HTML elements like a paragraph, a heading, an image, just any, or you can just include data like text. So I'm just going to include text here. I can say I'm going to use something random like JavaScript. Here I can include Python, and then in the second row I can add other td tags. So I'm just going to paste here. Then inside the first td tag I can include a framework of JavaScript like Node. Actually, Node is a runtime environment for JavaScript, but it's used for backend. And then Python, I can include Django. I'll save this file. I'll minimize this one and locate my HTML file here and open it. So you can see that we have JavaScript, Python, Node, and Django. They are arranged nicely like a table, but we can't see the borders. Now to add the borders, we need to use the border attribute. So inside the table, I'm going to use the border attribute. Border is equals to 2. So this will add a border. You can use 2, 3. So the more you increase the number, the larger the border will be. Let's save this one. I'll go back to the web page and refresh. So you can see that a table have been created with a border now, and we have the table data that we created, 2 rows and 2 columns. So we can span a row over 2 columns using the call span attribute. So maybe we want to include Node to span over the two columns. To do this, I'll remove this Django, and then inside the TD tag I'll use call span attribute, and then I'll set it as 2. I'll save this one, head back to the browser and refresh. So you can see that node is now spanning over 2 columns, and we can center this using the align attribute. So I can say align center. I'll save this one, head back to the browser, and boom, perfect. Now I think that's enough for creating a table. You can try adding more columns. So let's say I add another column like Java. I'll save this one and head over to the browser and refresh. So you can see that Node have span only on these 2 columns, but not on this Java column. It's only 2 columns. So in case I remove the call span attribute, and head over to the browser and refresh, you can see now that it is spanning only on 1 column. So that's how we create tables. I hope you enjoyed this section. In the next section, we are going to look at HTML forms. In this section, we are going to look at HTML forms. Forms are used to collect data from the user, and forms are defined using the form element. So to create a HTML form, use the form opening tag and the form closing tag. And the form have several attributes. The first attribute that we can look at is the action attribute. The action attribute is used to point to a web page that will load after the user submits the form. So this can be a web page or a file such as process.php. So this file will process the form data when we submit this form. We are going to avoid this action attribute because a server-sided programming language such as PHP, Python, Java, etc. is used to handle that action attribute. Another attribute that is handled by the server-sided programming language is the postal get. So when you use get value on the method attribute, the data will appear on the URL, meaning that get is not secure for sensitive data. Instead, post is used when you are using sensitive data such as passwords and emails in your form. So again, we are not going to look at the method attribute in this case. So to capture the user data, we use the input element. So input element, the input element have several attributes such as type. So the type allows us to select the type of data that we want, and you can see that there is a list of them, and in this case we are going to use text, but you can try all the others: text, URL, email, password, numbers, all of them. So in this case we can use text, and then we can include the name attribute. The name attribute can be username, and then we can include a clue of what is required when the user sees these forms, and we can use the placeholder attribute. So the placeholder attribute gives the users a clue what is required of them. At the top here, a label is also a clue of what is required. So use the label attribute here, and you can say username like that, and then include a br tag to break this one to be arranged nicely. Also a br tag at the end here. Another input type that we are going to look at is the radio input type. So the radio input type is used when you want the user to select only one option. So we can have several options, such as, let's say, gender. So we can include the name here to be gender, that way. And then we can include another attribute of value to be let's say, you can use any number here. I'm going to use 2 because my one is not working, and I have to copy paste the one every time I want to use it. So I'm just going to use the 2, but you can use the 1 if you want. And then in this case, after crossing this file this way, not the file, but after closing the input element, you can include male here, because we are looking at the gender, and then have the R tag at the end, that way. I'm going to copy this and paste it down here, because what we have here is almost exactly the same. The only thing that we are changing is the 3, and instead of male, let it be female. Good. Another input type that we are going to look at is the button. So in this case, the type is submit. So this will automatically create a button for us, and then the value, let it be submit also. Oh shit, I'm so poor at typing, I'm sorry. That way. So I'll save this file, go back to the browser and refresh. Boom. So you can see that this is the label that we included, the username, and then the username inside this box is the placeholder that we included. And in this case, now you can include a username such as Charles. And then we have 2 options here: male, am I a male or am I a female? So you can choose one of them. Then we have a submit button. So you can also use the check boxes if you want to select multiple instead of one. You just change the radio from radio to checkbox. So this will allow us to select both male and female. When I refresh this one, are you a male and are you a female? Okay, you can be both, I don't know. Another thing that we can look at is how to create a drop-down list. So back to the code editor. So to create a drop-down list, we are going to use the input, and with the ID, maybe want a drop-down list of fruits, so I will say ID of fruit, and then the type will be text, because fruit is in text form, so type text, that way. And then we can add another attribute of list, so this will allow us to list several types of fruit. So here I can say maybe type of fruit, so TF, that is good enough. So this is just to show you how it is done. I'm not like creating a real site here. And below here you can include another element, that is the data list. So data list will define a list of predefined option. So data list with the ID should be the same as list. So when you include an ID here, make sure that it is the same as this list attribute. So I'll copy the TF and include it in the ID for this to work. And then I'll close this one. Inside the data list tags, I'm going to use another element, that is the option. So the option element defines an option in a drop-down list. So it will list the options that you can select, and then the option have the value attribute. Now here you can list the type, like orange. We are dealing with fruits here. do you love fruits? And then that's the option, and it doesn't have the crossing tag, so it is just simple like that. I'm going to copy paste this one several times and arrange it nicely here. And then instead of orange, let's say apple. Then instead of orange again, we say banana. So I will save this file, head back to the browser, refresh. So you can see that we have another field and it have a drop down list. So a user can select one of them, orange, apple, banana. And maybe you can add a label at the top here to give the user a clue. So I'll copy paste this label, and then just before the data list, okay, just before the input field, I'm going to paste it there, and maybe you can see, maybe it is a question, maybe what is your favorite fruit? Okay, that way. And then a BR tag here and a question mark, and then here you can put full column. I save this file, head back to the browser and refresh. So you can see what is your favorite fruit, and then you have a list of options to choose, maybe banana. Then you can submit the form. So there are other attributes, maybe to add some form of validation. When you submit this form, you can see that it have just refreshed, but because we didn't include the action attribute. And then I will zoom this one again so that you can see everything clearly. So when we submitted, when we submitted, you have seen that it have refreshed, but we can add some form of validation using the required attribute. So when I say here required, this will add some form of validation. It will allow us to submit this form. When I refresh and try to submit this form, you can see, please fill out this field because of the required attribute. So by now, maybe you are not an expert in HTML, but you have a good grounding to continue learning more. So I will include some links at the bottom of this video to some resources that you can use to advance your skills. And this marks the end of this HTML series. The next thing that we are going to look at is CSS. So make sure to subscribe and turn on post notification for more tutorials each week. Thank you.